Well, Ken, listen, thanks so much. It's a great presentation. We're going to move to Michael Nelson. Michael, you there? Thanks, Ken.
I am here.
And by the way, I will be forwarding Ken's presentation to everybody, or his contact information, and you should feel free to contact him and request his presentation. So, Michael, do you have your deck? You want to get started?
I do. Thank you.
All right.
Great.
Thanks very much, Marty.
Thanks. Take care.
Ken, like you, I'm also looking forward to being able to get a haircut. I'm in New York, so let's see. So I haven't been able to do that yet, but I found my headset covers quite a bit. Are you able to see my screen?
Looks good.
Excellent. Great. Thank you. Marty, I really appreciate the opportunity to present to the Ivy Family Office Network. I'm here, Marty invited me to speak about food allergies and our solution to the food allergy epidemic. What Intramune Therapeutics is a biotechnology company focused on developing treatments for food allergies that are delivered while you brush your teeth. We're in the process of closing out our Series A preferred round, which is priced at $1 per unit. What we do is really very simple. We take what you're allergic to, incorporate it into a fully functional toothpaste, and you get your allergy immunotherapy when you brush your teeth. And this is really important because we know allergy immunotherapy works as long as you do it consistently. And the one thing people do consistently is brush their teeth. It's a huge market. It's a huge problem. There's about 250 million people worldwide affected by food allergies. In the US, that's 32 million people. And there are 8 common foods that cause 90% of food allergies. So that's our pipeline right there, is those 8 common foods. There's about 200,000 emergency room visits each year, unfortunately, caused by food allergies. Recently, kind of a surprise, the FDA reduced the labeling requirements, which really had people in the food allergy community up in arms, because that puts a lot of people at risk. Food allergies, the one thing we know, there's a lot of uncertainty in the market, as Ken was talking about, but we know that the rate of food allergy and the incidence of food allergy is increasing. So, why are people so concerned about labels and food allergies? And this is why. When you accidentally get exposed to what you're allergic to, you could have these systemic reactions, potentially anaphylaxis, even risk of death. So people and their families live in constant fear. There's a huge economic cost, and there's a huge social burden too. Often children are asked to sit at separate tables to avoid exposure, and so it's just very difficult. You have that constant fear. So our first target is peanut allergy. It's peanut INT 301, is a toothpaste with peanut protein embedded into it. The market is huge. Up until January, there was no approved product for any food allergy. If you accidentally got exposed, you gave yourself epinephrine and you got yourself to an emergency room. So Palforzia is the first product. I'll talk about it. It basically requires you to eat peanut protein every day, yet it was priced at close to $11,000 a year. So the market, we think the serviceable market for this product is about $700,000. So the dollars add up pretty quickly. Our go-to-market strategy, just very quickly, is Aimmune is spending tens of millions of dollars teaching doctors about allergy immunotherapy, teaching patients about allergy immunotherapy, and we get to come in, take advantage of the CPT codes that they're going to be putting in place with a much safer product that's going to take up a lot less physician time, a lot less stress on patients, and a lot less cost to manage care, because you won't be sending your patients to the emergency room all the time, because Palforzia actually increases the risk of what you're trying to protect against, which is emergency epinephrine use. You will not find a biotech company at our stage that is more de-risked than we are. And that's because we have a few advantages. We know that targeting the oral mucosa for peanut allergy is safe and effective, and we know that using our base for allergies is also effective. There was a study done at the results came out the end of last year. It showed that you only need 2 milligrams of peanut protein put into a liquid solution to get this similar efficacy to 300 milligrams of OIT, that's oral immunotherapy. That's what Palforzia does. They have you eat 300 milligrams each day. So it was as effective, yet you didn't have any use of epinephrine. We have a number of advantages. One, obviously, is the built-in compliance, but two, we cover about 14 to 16 times the surface area of sublingual immunotherapy. We could get our dosing higher because there's only so much peanut protein you could get into solution. And we also contact the areas of the mouth that have much higher concentration of those oral Langerhans cells. Those are the cells that reach up, take those proteins, and pull it into the immune system. And then on the respiratory side, Dr. Reisacker, who's on with us, he's the inventor. He's done a study comparing oral mucosal immunotherapy to sublingual immunotherapy, got great adherence, got less or no systemic adverse events compared to sublingual immunotherapy. That was done in respiratory allergies, and since then there's been about 700 patients that have used this straight to full dose with respiratory allergies. So we know what we're doing works. I'm going to let our Chief Regulatory Officer talk for a minute about the IND, because the IND is a key value inflection point for us.
Thank you very much, Mike. So I'm spearheading the IND, investigational new drug submission to the FDA, because that'll be key for kicking off the clinical trial, obviously, in adults. And we've had a pre-IND meeting in mid-2018, and it was highly collaborative. The FDA was very enthusiastic about our modality of therapy and approach. They mandated that we actually do not need a toxicology review because the active ingredient is peanut protein, which is generally regarded as safe because it's naturally occurring, as opposed to chemicals, which have tox issues of their own. So because of that, we also didn't need any pharmacokinetics or any related studies due to our, relatively clean and pristine route of administration, which is oral mucosal. Because of a swish and spit approach, where we are just expectorating all of the protein, and so there is no systemic absorption, and so no perceived tox or pharmacokinetic issues from that point of view. And because of that reason, no animal models were needed as well. So we have all the required data in hand in terms of the stability of the peanut allergen and the toothpaste matrix, which has demonstrated remarkable stability till the 90-day time point. And we expect it to continue into the 180-day time point as well at room temperature. Unlike Palforzia, which requires a very pristine cold chain mechanism, which, as you know, there's many a slip between the cup and the lip in a cold chain mechanism, including degradation of that peanut protein. And so we are in the stages of finalizing the principal investigator with the clinical research organization, which is just a bureaucratic regulatory submission to be included with the IND and stuff. So bottom line is we have a very clear approval pathway to the phase 1B clinical trials without too many roadblocks anticipated, just because the FDA was, again, very gung-ho about our very clean modality of approach. Again, unlike Palforzia, where the pill can become the poison because of inflammatory issues with the esophagus or the food pipe, which might require an EpiPen in and of itself. So I'll pass it over back to you, Mike, for additional slides.
Can you guys talk about the intellectual property as well, and what kind of patent or copyright protections you have?
Sure. So I'll just skip ahead for a second. So we have to date 24 patents. We really have 2 patent families at the moment. The first is oral care products plus allergens for immunotherapy, and we have exclusive global rights to all of that for food allergy. The patents that have started issuing are around toothpaste, because that's what we really care about, plus allergens for immunotherapy. The second set of patents is around formulation to stabilize those allergens. What Ivy was talking about with the excellent stability that we've been able to show in our laboratory studies. So, and then we actually have a third set of intellectual property that we're expecting to file that will take our protection to 2040 and potentially even beyond. So we have quite a bit of coverage. Nobody else can do oral mucosal immunotherapy.
You guys have about 10 minutes left.
Great, thank you. So I want to leave time for some questions, so I'll try to go through the next bit pretty quickly. But there's really a few routes that are being developed for allergy immunotherapy. There's what we're doing, which we call oral mucosal immunotherapy, delivered through a toothpaste. We expect very high efficacy, higher than we saw with sublingual immunotherapy, which showed similar efficacy to Palforzia. So we may even get better efficacy, excellent safety because you spit it out and you do it every day. You brush your teeth every day, so it's built right into your routine. Palforzia sounds very easy to comply with, but it's actually a capsule that you break open, have to pour in a semi-solid food every day for the rest of your life. You're expected to do that and eat it, and then it actually, while you're doing that updosing, triples the risk of needing epinephrine, and while you're in the maintenance state, still doubles it. So it actually increases the risk of what you're trying to protect against. And the other is Viaskin. It's a skin patch embedded with peanut protein. When they were considered the safe alternative, and people thought it might work, they were valued at 2.4 billion. They got buyout offers of north of 4 billion. Unfortunately, the product doesn't work particularly well, and they've actually withdrawn their BLA once, and currently the BLA, the action date is August, and it's not clear that's actually going to be held up and not delayed because the patch comes off, unfortunately, and has other issues. It's not just us that thinks we're going to have the best product profile. The Allergy and Asthma Network did some surveys. I won't go through them too closely, but happy to discuss it. But basically, they said the time is now for a desensitization method that's safe and effective and easy to use, which is exactly what Intrammune Therapeutics is doing. The FDA approved Palforzia in January, kind of the worst time for a product approval, especially one where you have to do this updosing. The first day you spend essentially the whole day in the doctor's office. So, and they have a very restrictive REMS, which means only certified facilities can provide Palforzia. We don't expect to have that same issue because we don't expect the same adverse event profile. DBV, as I mentioned, has some delays. So drivers of our market, we think we have the best product profile. We'll take advantage of the conditioning in the market that Immune is doing. About 20% of patients are unable to tolerate Palforzia. We think we'll pick up those patients. We think that it's a huge market, so there's going to be a need for multiple modalities, but we're the obvious choice for long-term maintenance. Even the skin patch, which everyone thinks, oh, it's really easy to comply with. It's not, because you actually have to rotate around the patch. It's designed to irritate your skin and find a clean spot to put it on. So they actually have a fairly high dropout rate over a period of time. I talked about the intellectual property. I'm happy to talk about it some more. We've done quite a bit. We have the exclusive rights to the OMIT technology. We have the formulation. We've had the pre-IND meeting that Dr. Singh talked about. We have the stability study in hand. We've completed diligence and received investment from a number of angel networks. We are working on closing our Series A preferred. We're actually, even though we have the stability data in hand, which was a big inflection point for us, we are keeping this round open until we complete the IND, which will be in the next quarter, probably earlier in the next quarter. So there's still time to get in under the old price. After that, we expect to increase the price. Our phase 1b clinical trial is still expected to start this year, even with delays from the COVID-19 pandemic. We will be kicking off the Series B preferred and looking to raise whatever we don't complete in the Series A. We're looking to get about $10 million this year or early next year to ready ourselves for the phase 2-3 launch.
And Michael, quick question. Yes. So the due diligence from Keiretsu form, that's available for dissemination among people who are potential investors?
The Keiretsu forum data is available and I'm happy to disseminate it. It is a little bit out of date. We've had actually quite a bit we've done since that date. So I am happy to provide that.
Okay,
data.
Great.
And then I just please ask your questions. I just want to show very quickly some of the financials, and then I can answer any questions. But this is a biotech product. It will take a few years. We do expect expedited approval processes through the.
Well, I wanted to ask about grants. So what kind of grants are available, or you've received, or in process of applying for?
Yeah, so there were some grants for the initial studies that we did. That, for example, that study that Dr. Reisacker did was done with a grant from New York State. We expect things to kind of move along pretty quickly. So for the peanut product, we're not really seeking grants. You'll actually see from this next one, we could get that phase 1B study. We've gotten the pricing down to under $500,000. So another $1 million gets us through that phase 1B study. By the time we receive the grant, we'd be done with the study. We do think for multi-allergen products, so product 2 and product 3 are probably going to be the other 8 foods that cover 90% of the market, and we will be looking for grants for that. And we are talking, I have received a fair bit of interest from investigators about doing some studies. In terms of our cost going forward, as I said, we don't need a huge amount of money. Right now, we're valued at $17.6 million. We are going to be looking to bring another couple million to be able to complete the phase 1B as part of our Series A, but then complete the rest of it with a Series B. After the IND is done, we think we essentially double in value at that point. After the phase 1B, we expect a valuation in the $300 to $400 million price range. I won't go through the specifics just because of time, but we do have some of the analysis for the phase 1B valuation and the phase 2 valuation. We have a big team. Dr. Singh spoke. Dr. Reisacker is our inventor. Eric Berglund is on as well. Tanya Winders from Allergy and Asthma Network agreed to join our team as an advisor. She gave such a great recommendation because she really believes in what we're doing. She's also the parent of children who have food allergies. And then we've had some of the top names in food allergy help us develop our clinical trial protocols. So I want to leave at least a few minutes for questions, but I'm happy to talk about anything. I have some more slides if people want to see them as well.
Well, we have about 1 or 2 minutes. So can you talk about your exit strategy? Is that an acquisition or something else? Or
yeah, that's a great question. So we really have a couple of potential exit strategies. We've already started talking with strategics. So there is the possibility after that phase 1B of just outright selling the company. Some of the discussions we've had would be more around partnering. So for example, European rights. All those numbers I gave you at the beginning were US rights, but the European market is just as large. The pricing might be a little lower, but it's just as big a market. So we could license out certain geographic regions. We could sell the company. We could post the phase 1B. We could be looking at a large VC round and then followed very quickly by an IPO. The phase 1. Yes, go ahead.
Who pays for the product? Is this a consumer product? Is it paid for by insurance?
This is paid for by insurance, and let insurance companies try not to pay for it. There's a very strong advocacy group for food allergies. I showed the pricing for Palforzia was close to $11,000. We have arguments to say that we should be charged. We should be at higher cost. We have better compliance. Managed care pays for that. We also have reduced adverse events, so it's going to cost managed care less. So we have reasons to argue for more. I'm not saying we would price it at higher, but there's a big willingness to pay for this product because it saves a lot of cost. It saves a lot of anxiety. And then for doctors, it's going to save a lot of their time. So they're going to make the same amount of money, but they're not going to have to spend nearly as much of their time.
Michael, this is really great. Again, one of I think I told you or Abid about a dramatic experience I had when I was doing an overnight flight back from San Francisco, and I was stopped in Minneapolis, and I had bought a bag of peanuts to eat on the plane, and they took them away from me because somebody on the plane had a peanut allergy. So I was like, "Are you kidding?"
Yeah, and more people are getting peanut allergies. If I was in a room and I could ask people to raise their hand, you'd be surprised how many people had food allergies, how many people or their children had food allergies, or their children had to avoid certain areas because their friends had peanut allergies. So it's really frightening.
And I was surprised when Delta stopped serving peanuts as well on planes. So it's one of those things. So listen, Michael, thanks so much, guys. Looking forward to finding out more information about Intramune. I think we prior had another company called Inovio, which did a lot of immunology, in the past, and their stock price just tripled a couple of months ago when they were licensed by South Korean government to do some work for them on some other immunology work on COVID-19. So fantastic, guys.
Thank you very much.
Let's move.